All of these are designed such that you can click the back button and then click the demo button again, and it redraws the scene fresh. So whatever you did, however you manipulated it while you were playing with it or dragging it, you can simply click back, go back in, and it's a new example, fresh. The next thing we're going to look at is we'll probably get as far as starting to look at the mechanics of doing the draggable doll. And a draggable doll is nothing more than my very poor representation of a human body with a torso, this green bit here, a head, a bicep, which is this part here between the gray and the red, or the gray and the blue, and the forearm, which is the green to the red and the green to the blue. Again, green is draggable, white, blue, etc. is not. Whoa, come back here. All right. And that's why we have the ability to reload the scene.
Goodbye.
Okay. Thigh, calf, foot, knee, etc. These are all named so in the code to go with, basically the body parts. So you can drag this guy around, fling him into the ground, beat him all you want, and then you can turn on gravity and see how he behaves, or it behaves.
You're a cool master, Ed.
All right. So it's one step removed to take this exact code, and it's then we integrate this with last week's topic, which was what? Saving data to a table. Yeah. So imagine, if you will, you want to make a game where, and okay, I have to admit, I did work for a guy, and I cannot tell you what his game was about because we never completed it, and we're still under NDA. But I can tell you that it involved the mechanics of a doll and posing. I just can't tell you more than that because that's simple enough. And this is a very intriguing idea. I really like it, and I'm going to do something with it myself someday. I just don't know what. Anyways, I wanted to demonstrate the power of taking a rag doll and the topic from last week. And basically what this does is you pose your doll the way you want it. Let's just do this. You click the save button. And when you click the save button, what's going to happen is a little tiny piece of code that's maybe like 4 or 5 lines long, maybe 10 at the most. I don't remember. I'll have to look. It says, find every piece, and I've stored them all in a table or referenced them. It says, get the X and Y position, get the rotation, save it to a file, and now, if I move my guy and I click restore, what it does is it loads that file off the disk, finds the names of all those pieces, and then applies the X and Y and the rotation back to this doll. So we just fling him over there, restore. Change the pose, save it, restore. Turn on the gravity, restore, 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 restore. And this is literally like, I don't know, 20 lines of code added to the previous portion of this example. Everything else is the same from the draggable doll, except now we have the ability to save and restore poses. Now, if you're really intrigued or want to take it to the next level, you can take what I've given you here. What is going on? Oh, I have done something bad. Okay.
Too much clicking. I have an idea for an app based on the posable doll. We can talk about it in a little bit.
Okay, good. We can talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But what you can do is you can save. Why not save more than one pose? And then you could create your own little. You don't need some really fancy animation program. You could literally pose your guy and say, make this, pose it this way, and instead of instantly snapping to the other pose, you could use a transition over time. So example, let's try this. You move the arm, you save a pose. You move it again, you save another pose. Then you play it back by transitioning from one pose to the next pose to the next pose, and you've created an animated character all in Corona in very few lines of code. Now, obviously this is not a replacement for other techniques, but it's...
No, I mean, what you just described is almost sort of like a poor man's spine. I mean,
It is. It's a poor man's spine. Exactly. And spine being the tool, which is a wonderful tool, which I use. But, it depends on what you need to do in your game. These are the kinds of things that Corona, as an SDK, allows you to do. All right, last demo, and then let's actually go look at some code. The thing is, that really sucks about doing these demos for this show is I do them, and I'm like, hey, that could be a game. I get these game ideas. So the next one is make a car. So a car, your basic car, is nothing more than a block and some wheels. Now these wheels are attached to the block with a pivot joint. And if we turn on the gravity, the block falls, and the wheels turn, and it does pretty much what you expected it to do. The only other thing that I got here is I hooked up the ability to turn on the motor. So if you click the left button, what's going to happen is this wheel, the motor will be turned on for the joint, and the wheel will start to spin to the left. Or you turn on the right, and it goes to the right. Or you could turn off gravity and let it float around for a bit and play with the thing and turn
Flying
it back on.
cars.
Or you could go left and right.
you've heard it here, folks. People for ages have asked, when am I getting my flying car?
Exactly.
2015.
Flying car. So I don't want to go too much further with that. And I think it's time to look at some code before people get disappointed that I didn't cover any code whatsoever. So let me bring up the code. First of all, what you're going to get is you're going to go to the Hangouts, Corona Geek, Git. I will give a link to Charles to give you a direct link, which will allow you to download a file called physicsfun.zip. It'll be under the I can make that section of the Hangouts on my Git account. And underneath here, you're going to find main, config, and build settings, the traditional files you find in all projects. This project does use SSK. However, I have not used it to do any of the implementation of the actual dolls. This is all in what I would consider pure Lua code or pure Corona code. So it's longhand, so you can see exactly what's going on. There's a scripts folder, doesn't have anything in it. Not now, anyways. Images folder, where I've got some basic images of just simple art that is used to make this demo. And the interfaces folder, which has got all the different samples. For example, the car, the doll, the posable doll, etc. And this will grow over time.
So one of the things I see here, and you may talk about this in just a moment, though, is for this sampler, there's the functionality that you're trying to convey in terms of the joints or the ragdoll or any that kind of stuff. But there's also how the sampler itself is constructed. So if you download this code, don't just take a look at the functionality for the physics. Also look at the structure of how the sampler is put together, because there are scene transitions there. Files are organized into folders. A lot of the common questions that people have about how do I organize my project, or how do I work with Composer, or how do I do some of these basic things, they're encapsulated in this example as well. So just be aware of that.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Charles, for mentioning that. I want to say that the framework that's used for this particular project, SSK Corona is out, the new one is out, the sampler is out. One of the things that I promised people I would do is put together a Composer framework using SSK, and that is in progress. And I've taken the in-progress copy of that and used it to make this demo. So what you're seeing here with the layout of the main menu and the splash screen and stuff like that, it's the beginning of what will be eventually a free template that people can use to start with SSK with Composer and go from there. It'll come with a splash screen and an options screen, but not all of that is yet in here. Still, it has most of that layout present.
Yeah. Nice.
So let's take a look at simple. Simple, one thing you should know is simple, doll, and posable all have pretty much the same code in them, but it's just the part where I do the work to draw the scene that's different. because I wanted to lead people through progressively explaining what the code does and what my custom bits of code do. And I figured not changing it from scene to scene would make the most sense.